Yep. Okay, now you can start the recording. My name is Wilson, and this is group. As you can see on the screen, those are the members of group 16. This is group 16. We shall be presenting to you the main types of data in research. So, starting off, we shall have the first question in the coursework, that is, what are the main types of data in research? So we have to that is primary and secondary data. Okay, so when you talk about primary data, that is data you collect directly from first-hand sources. That is from individuals and researchers. All that that is data you collect. Uh, you observe, you see the data, interview, you the videos, and then you can be able to collect this data. Then when you talk about secondary data, that is data that someone collected on data. Someone has really collected data from somewhere and decides to host the data somewhere or keep the data in some dedicated center, and then another person is able to access that data. So the person who is accessing the data is accessing its secondary data. Then the person who put the data there is the one that has put the primary data. So the main difference between primary data and secondary data is primary data you collect it directly from the individual or the from the first hand source you get the data. Secondary data you collect it from somewhere that someone has already put his data there. So you just go and collect data that has already been collected. Just go and use that data. Just go and use data that has already been collected by someone else. Next slide, please. Let me talk about how the primary and secondary data differ. So the source first, we started talking about the source. Primary data is collected uh, directly from the first answer, from the NGO, from the surveyor, from the field, and then secondary data is collected from it's used by someone after one entity has already put it online or has put it in some dedicated center in the library. Then let's talk about the collection process. So primary data, as you see, requires active effort from the researcher. You have to reach out to where to the individuals. This is where you want to collect the data from. Then secondary data, you can sit anywhere. You can go online. You can do research. You can see what other people have on the same topic that you're researching. Researching. Then you look at the powers and control. So premising on that specific stuff that you want. Talk about data. That one doesn't align anything. You can do research on this today, tomorrow you can do research on that. Then let's look at down here. We have some few examples of primary data. Interviewing students about their study habits. That's a very good example of primary data. Then we look at secondary data, analyzing a published study on student performance. So let me invite my next presenter to take you through the third slide. Thank you. Who's the next? Hello. Ronaldo, who's the next? So, Ronaldo, if possible, you change to another page. All right. Good afternoon. This is Matova Karim. I'm going to take us through how can researchers determine. Now I'm going to be taking us the examples of quantitative and qualitative. I'm going to be taking us examples of quantitative and qualitative data. Quantitative data, we have the numerical.
this data which is measurable, or like in terms of countable, i.e. the number of students enrolled in a course. Let's say we have 150 students and we have the average temperature recorded daily, which is 25 degrees Celsius. We have the survey responses on a Likert scale, 1 to 5 rating of satisfaction. Then we have time taken to complete the task. Then under qualitative data, we have the descriptive or the non-numerical. This can be the responses from an open-ended interview, i.e. someone can say feel stressed during an exam. You can't measure that, you can just take the description. So you can also have observations of classroom behavior, if students appeared engaged, the themes from the focus from discussions, i.e. lack of motivation, and the photographs of student or videos capturing an event. Yeah, that is my part.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to you. So I'm going to be taking you through when can researchers determine whether to use quantitative or qualitative data. So one of the big questions or the big decisions that researchers have to undertake is to find out which data they should use in order to unlock the answers they want, right? So basically everything from the insights we're going to get away from the data depends on which kind of data we are getting. So one of the first objectives or the first decision points that we need to basically consider is the research objective. What are we trying to measure? Are we trying to measure something that's numerical, a test score in class, or is it going to be like quantitative? Is it going to be about the numbers themselves, testing the hypothesis, finding the patterns? But if we want to go something deeper, then we're going to understand basically that goes into quantitative. Basically, why students are passing a certain exam and then they're failing others. That's qualitative. Sorry. So then we go to the next, which is the nature of the question, right? The nature of the research question. We look at if it's a how many or how much, or is it a how many or how much kind of deal, like how many people have liked the new school policy they've put up, or how many have not liked the new school policy. That's quantitative, right? So it's basically clean, it's countable. But if it's a why or how, we're basically wanting to understand why do the people hate the new policy, or why don't they hate the new policy? That's qualitative. Then we look at the data viability and resources is another factor we need to consider when determining whether to use qualitative or quantitative, right? Quantitative basically needs structure. It needs things like surveys. It needs a big sample group of population in order to like understand and get that quantitative data. Then for qualitative, we basically want a smaller group of people, and it's intense. It takes hours to get the right information we want, getting interview scripts, and we have to give it a lot of time. Then the next factor we need to consider is the discipline and context. And where are we at? Are we in the sciences or are we in economics? That's usually the part of quantitative. Then are we in social sciences or humanities? That's usually the qualitative bit of it. Yes. So basically, this is a very important question that researchers have to undertake, and there are different points, as we have discussed, that they need to basically align themselves with in order to choose which is which. Yes, thank you, sir. Then, so basically, I'm going to take you what structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data are. And basically, structured data is highly organized, it's easily searchable, and it's often in tables or the databases. Whereas for semi-structured data, it's partially organized. It's basically interview responses with guiding questions about the open-ended answers. And the good thing about this balances the structure and richness, and it's useful in mixed method studies where patterns and narratives are both needed. Then for unstructured data, it's mainly free-form text, audio recordings, social media posts, and it lacks a predefined format. There's no format for it. And it offers rich, detailed insights for qualitative research, but requires extensive processing.
My name is Dumba Jonah, and I'm going to take you through what are cross-sectional and longitudinal data and when should each be used. So cross-sectional data, this data is collected at one single point in time from different subjects. Like for example, surveying 100 students about their stress levels in March 2025. And when is it used? When you want to compare different groups at one moment, like comparing stress levels between males and females, and this cross-sectional data approach is quick, cheaper, and also good for snapshot comparisons. And it is, but it is limited in a way that it does not show how things change over time. And going to the longitudinal data, this data is collected from the same subjects repeatedly over time. Now, for example, measuring those 100 students' stress levels every semester for 2 years. And this longitudinal data is mostly used in this way. So when you want to study like changes, trends, or cause effects over time, like whether stress levels rise with academic pressure, and it is more resource heavy, like time, effort, and also the cost, but gives deeper and dynamic insights. Thank you.